What's up? Welcome back. Isn't this episode 21? 20?
I think I'll go with what you're
Let's just
saying.
go with episode 20. Yeah.
Episode 20, okay. I mean, we'll check it later, but yeah.
Yeah.
Another episode. I'm
Yeah.
back.
Finally.
Yeah, finally.
Well, you've had a bit of a spiritual awakening. You could say that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess not just spiritual, but like my entire life, so to
Yeah.
speak. Yeah, it was insane. Like Morocco coming back after 2 years, 2 years and 1 month.
You know what? It's just more so like eye opening, and you can be like, do you feel more rejuvenated after that?
Oh yeah, definitely more rejuvenated.
Yeah.
But after I got the cold, yeah, the cold kind of like offset me a bit, like just a little bit. But even then, like the amount of ideas and just the amount of energy that I kind of like gathered just coming back from Morocco is just insane.
Well, I mean, also over there, the whole culture would be different compared to the West. Like, they've got more of like a masculine, feminine polarity there than what they do over here, where it's just more of a like androgynous.
Yeah, but actually Morocco has a lot of. I don't think it's just masculine, feminine. There's a lot of and like I would say androgynous extremes, so to speak. Like women actually love taking the role of the man, as
Yeah.
in going out working, taking care of the house, doing everything in the house, maintenance, renovations. Like there's a lot of, because Morocco right now is like super literal. It's there's both.
The opposite.
There's right now, especially like in, I mean, 21st century, but it's always been like that. Even like when my mom used to be young back then, she used to tell me Morocco had like hippies, they had gay people, like in Casablanca, they had like it was just like a crazy mix. So it was like almost the same as what was happening in America, or whatever, the West, Canada, Europe. Yeah. They also have like kind of like the influence of Western.
I did not expect that. I really didn't expect that.
Yeah, it's pretty really common now. It's just like people. I mean, right now everyone just takes it normally.
Yeah, it's normal now. But yeah. Hey, what did you end up discovering in Morocco?
Discovering, I mean, there's so many things I did like in those 2 weeks.
Then
It
just give
was
us some basic ground. Just give us some basic stuff, so then we can try and work with that.
sure, yeah. So I mean, obviously, it was me traveling with my father. After a while, we kind of reconnected there, father son relationship. We had like one man come from, he's originally American, came from Doha. He accompanied us for the trip, and like making so many remarks between like me and my dad, the relationship. He'd be like, oh, like father, like son. And it kind of like in life in general, you have like this. I mean, it's common to have like the son looking up to the father growing up, and then kind of being his own man, being different. And then after that, coming back and seeing these differences, that's kind of like what I saw with my dad, like how we are similar and different, so to speak. And after that, visiting family in Morocco was pretty customary, normal. A lot of my family relatives saw changes. My grandma used to she made a lot of remarks. She's like, wow, you just grew up so much and everything. Like, it's pretty normal. And then after that, it was like a pretty crazy 3-day event where the highlight of the trip was that, where we had like a conference on Sufi spiritual conference that talks about kind of like the advantages of Sufism, making it a bit more universal for people to understand outside. And we had people come from different areas of the world, like Spain, I said US, Doha, Germany, and then other areas in the world. So that was like the main highlight. And I remember previous episodes, I talked a lot on spirituality and kind of like how I'm kind of really connected to it. So yeah.
I was just thinking about something. I was just like,
What's up?
I was just going to ask you, so how do you feel more spiritually connected to, because you said like your spirituality, how do you feel more spiritually connected now compared to what where you were?
The trip kind of boosted it more, I would say. In the summer, I was kind of being more practicing about it. Like we have this thing called dhikr, which is basically remembrance. Like I said, like you're trying to remember in God and stuff, like through, you know, immersing yourself in the meanings of which are like poetic chants. So I was practicing that in the summer, and in the summers with the season and everything, it was actually really like helpful. And also, I made a strong group of friends here in Montreal that kind of aided that too. Like we would like kind of keep ourselves disciplined like every morning, for prayer and kind of reading the Quran and stuff like that. So that helped. And then leading up to the trip, before the trip, I got more in touch with like the people of the group that were doing that dhikr, you can say. And then after that, when I as I was getting closer and closer to those people and closer to the casitas and everything, the highlight was going to the trip and actually meeting them in person and seeing the conference happening in front of me live and like actually absorbing everything, all the kind of like efforts that I have done in dhikr and in, reminding myself and studying like those books and everything, reading them and interacting with the people of the group and stuff. I got more and more connected that way. And on top of that, the trip itself was kind of also merging what I had uh, experienced here in the West, like Canada, and kind of like the experience that I had in Morocco too, because I spent a lot of time in Morocco initially, like 2021, 2022. So those 2 weeks kind of also was me mentally synthesizing those experiences. So yeah, I don't know if I'm using like too many fancy words to kind of.
No, I'm just thinking because you've said like quite a good thing, quite a good. You've said quite a good number of stuff that I can be like, why did this happen? Why did that happen? The words are complex, but it's a bit of a. It's just a bit of a. It's the words are complex, but it works in well with what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I see.
So then, what was the difference? Because you said obviously you were there in 21, 22, 2020, and 21. What was the difference between being there then compared to now?
Then at the time, I was still pretty young. Like I literally just finished school. I hadn't really worked a proper job in kind of like a career where it would require you like a certain level of kind of education, like a university degree or something like that. So I hadn't done that before. So that was one thing that made like a big difference. Me kind of working in my field now and kind of gaining experience, applying what I had learned, and kind of seeing the applications in my personal life, like of engineering and like, software space industry kind of knowledge and stuff. So that was one thing that was a big difference for me. And on top of that, like I wasn't that stable mentally too back then. Like I was still like kind of navigating my way in life, resolving some of my emotions back then, some of like feeling depressed and all that, like feeling like I haven't accomplished anything, right? Because all I had done was studies, right? So I was like, that well, what's the point now? I'm done studying, but like I can't find a job. And at the time I actually wanted to live in Morocco, like start my life there. Like I wanted to build my career and start my life there. But unfortunately at that time it wasn't growing enough, and COVID kind of took away a lot of opportunities for like kind of remote job, well, not remote jobs but jobs in Morocco, because of like restrictions in person, all of that, right? So it's kind of like you can't really go. Yeah, there wasn't that many opportunities back then. Now when I came back to Morocco, I saw a lot of development. Like I saw like literally even the mountain cities you would start seeing them build condos, like paving new roads. Like literally, we were driving on like, yeah, so many roads were just being under construction. Like it was insane compared to that time in 2021 where it was just dead. And yeah, it's a big change, for me and for, the country and, you know, in general. Yeah.
But then, what would you say is probably the biggest change that has impacted you while you were there originally compared to now? Because obviously you said you're still in those studying, still in the developing stages. Now you're more developed, more focused, and aligned to a set of goals.
Yeah.
So how does that affect the change compared to then and now?
Uh,
And obviously the city's grown as well.
yeah, I see what you're saying. You're trying to get to the change of how, like, in what sense, like the change on myself or the change.
It's yeah, the change through a obviously the physical change of the city, but also I'm assuming that the people have also changed there as well. Like they're still the same, like they're still orientated the same, like friendly manner. It's just they've obviously grown and developed more and more over the last 2, 3 years. But also when you reflect on yourself and look at how much you've grown, how does that impact your view?
I think it goes hand in hand. Back then, I didn't really have any social skills. So I didn't know how, to what degree I can measure myself up to society and also how I can measure other people up, right? Like when I'm speaking to, for instance, a common man, in Morocco, or a common man here in Montreal, in general, like someone who more educated, or a manager, for example, for of a company, stuff like that. I couldn't really measure at that time. Like I would just have a conversation, go to a coffee, talk for a bit. This guy, he's a family man, he has his kids and everything, but like, you wouldn't need really think ahead. I wouldn't really think ahead at the time, right? I was just kind of focused on my own like life, and kind of what's my next plan, what's my next move, sort of that thing, right?
Yeah,
And now it's so different because now there's like I've done so much and I've developed so much and I've seen and I've interacted with a lot of people, moving to a different city in Montreal compared to where I was in Toronto for like the last 20-23 years before I moved. And then now it's like I've met so many different people, I've interacted with. Obviously, you make mistakes, right? Obviously, you learn from them. Like you're not going to be perfect when you're talking to everyone, right? So I did make some mistakes here too. I learned, I learned it sometimes the hard way, but it is what it is, right? Like that's how you grow. And I've seen like how much easier it is to now talk to people, like even random strangers, like in Morocco, because now I can actually like measure them up. I can see, oh, based on like, for example, where he's working or where he's standing, sort of thing. I can approach them or have to approach them a certain way. I think there's also, because I've developed the dialect in Moroccan.
yeah,
Coming back now, people wouldn't even think I'm Canadian. They think I'm Moroccan because I talk. I'm literally like a chameleon there. I
you're
just kind
fluent.
of like
Yeah,
swerve my way in the streets and like talk to them like as if I'm part of their folk.
yeah.
Yeah. So
But
it's
then, how's
yeah.
that also just to add on to that? How's that impacted? Let's just say, if you're to speak to like also, how's the speech and the dialect actually impacted? Because you said it's like you're a chameleon, you blend into both Canada and Morocco, but also, is there much of a difference in obviously the mannerisms, or is it because
Yes,
you
of
said
course.
yeah,
There's a big difference
yeah,
between Moroccans and Canadians. Here we're a bit more straightforward, to the point. The way even like the street grid is built, like everything is straight. Like you're either going straight, turning left or right. There's no curve. There's barely any roundabouts.
yeah,
So, and there's no zigzags either. So it's like, so there it's like there's so many ways you can, depending on, it's more about human wants and needs there, like catered to. in
Yeah,
general. Like you ask for them for something right away, they'll be like, yeah, yeah, I got this, I got that contact. You just have to ask, right? And then they'll tell you, okay, yeah, but like for example, you go from the guy next to, like sometimes when you ask them a question about like, okay, what's the nearest best steakhouse restaurant? And they'll tell you there's just one right down the street that you would know that like you've already passed by that steakhouse and you know it's not good because you've seen like how it is from the outside or you read the menu and they're telling you the same thing because I don't know, sometimes I get the impression that they know, okay, you'll know that too. I can't tell you more because then, whatever, this, that, but maybe it's because I don't know. Sometimes it's I get that impression, but honestly, like I don't know. In Morocco, there's like they're not always straightforward. You have to keep talking, asking questions to get to like a final point. Sometimes you also have to have some kind of attitude towards it to kind of get what you want. So like for example, if you're bargaining for a certain price, in a souk or something like that, obviously, they yeah, you have to know, for example, origin like prices of certain products beforehand
yeah,
before you actually go and shop, or else 99% of the time they'll probably know from your appearance and like how you look and stuff that okay, this guy's coming from the outside, so I can kind of get more from him, right? That's in general, like because any kind of touristy country, like a country whose economy is based a lot on tourism, would have like this kind of mindset,
the hiring system.
yeah,
Yeah.
mannerism.
So did that really impact your journey, or was it just more so just it is what it is. The
Yeah,
people
yeah. I
haven't
mean, it was
changed.
always that way. It was always that way.
Yeah,
Didn't really impact it. Honestly, I'm just happy where I'm at now because I can see it more clearly and I can actually maneuver, my way around it. So it's yeah. But I mean, with time, any man, even you, Denyon, like as you start like adventuring outside, Australia to, I don't know, other countries, maybe New Zealand or Europe somewhere, or even the US, you'd
yeah,
start to kind of rewire your mind to seeing how like people think, how the city works, how, you know, economics, kind of like all from macro down to the detail, down to how you even interact with people. Like
yeah.
you'll get like a better sense, a better picture, you know?
But also to reflect on that, I haven't been outside the country as an adult. I've only been outside the country as a child. So that's where it's different because
Yeah.
you've got more of an idea of when you were younger compared to now. I've just only got an idea of like my brain still isn't fully developed. It's
Yeah,
still
yeah.
developed. So it's yeah. And
Yeah, it
you've
makes sense.
also your brain is fully developed by now. So that's also where we've got that bit of a difference in us because mine still have got that bit more because I'm technically my brain's still in kid mode if you know what I mean.
Gotcha.
So it's got still that little bit of neuroplastic like to it.
Yeah, you still have like that fluid intelligence.
Yeah, but then you've got I'd say yours is more straightforward. It's very like you got to just find that very straightforward. Like the older you get.
Yeah, pretty much.
But then again, that also comes with life experience because I wouldn't know because I don't know if I have a fully developed brain. Then we can go on the whole neuroscience on it on another episode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It comes with time. And, as you start to learn more about the cultures outside your own and everything, you'll get these clashes within you,
Yeah.
which is kind of tough to handle. It'd be like, shit, I shouldn't have acted that way because now I look Moroccan, but I'm not Moroccan. I'm actually born and raised in Canada.
I've never had those sort of clashes. I've never had those
Yeah,
sorts.
yeah, yeah. It's because I kind of molded myself that way, like growing up. It was also
So
because
had
I
you?
was like, I was influenced too in that way, kind of because
Yeah.
I would visit Morocco frequently when I was young. Like every kind of summer, I would go like from age like 7, 8 years old.
So then Morocco is a big part of your identity. is
Yeah,
what you're saying.
100%. It is definitely like yeah, because it's also because my mom, she was the only like one from her family to move from Morocco to Canada by herself. So she had
Yeah,
no family in Canada. Like it was just her in-laws, pretty much. Her in-laws and the friends that she made like along the way. So that's why she would like take us back a lot when we were young. So she can go visit family and like stay close. So that's kind of
yeah,
like the context around it.
yeah. So it's your home away from home, or it's more like your true home, and you're now away from home.
Exactly. It's my motherland for sure, 100%.
Yeah.
My true motherland.
I mean, you may live there one day.
I mean, I'm open to it, or any kind of neighboring country, right? Like Italy would
Like,
be nice. Italy or Spain or even France.
I mean, that'd be sick because I'm also planning to move to Europe eventually.
Hey, okay, nice. That's sick. That would be nice. Because
Yeah.
Europe is like it's so walkable, man.
Oh, look, that's actually. Did
Yeah, I
you?
don't know.
Oh,
It's
this is
it's
interesting.
an iPhone thing. Like when you do a slight thumbs up, it just pulls out the whole thing.
Yeah, I didn't think that'd even show on a podcast. I was just like, yeah, but yeah. So, where exactly would you move? Like, would you move to Morocco, or would you choose like one of the neighboring countries that may have
Honestly,
something that
if
you
I had
want?
if I had money, I would move to Fez because
Where's
it's kind
that?
of like it's like the Centropolis. It's like from Fez you can go anywhere. Everything else is kind of like the same distance because it's kind of
Yeah.
like the epicenter of your country.
So it's like
It'd be
smack bang in the middle of Europe.
in the middle of Morocco. Yeah.
Because I thought you said you moved to one of the neighboring countries, like
Oh, you
obviously
mean like
Spain.
in Europe? Okay, if I were
Yeah,
to move in Europe, I would probably go somewhere like Belgium, Switzerland, because I speak French, so it'd be easier for me to like I have two languages I can work with.
yeah.
But uh, yeah, if I had to like choose choose a European country, like for sure, 100%, I would say France.
Why France? Obviously, you can speak the language.
I can speak the language, but also because the lifestyle is very similar to Montreal.
Yeah.
Like not obviously like 100%, like just maybe like 60,
Obviously,
60.
it's got more of a European taste to it
It
than
has a
what Canada does.
European-esque, yeah, exactly. Montreal's European-esque, and it's French speaking. Most of it is French speaking, and there's a lot of people from France that move here later on because let's say they want to buy a house or start like a family with a house or something. It's easier to do that here in Montreal
It'd be more affordable living in Montreal than what it would be in France.
for
Anyway,
the salary, I would say. But in France, you're saving more. In France, you're saving more, but it's hard to buy a house.
yeah.
That's the impression that I got from it. But I would still
Also,
like, yeah, I would still live there if I had to choose in Europe, right?
yeah. I reckon this is going to be pretty interesting the next few years. Because if you move, and then because I know exactly where I want to go after Australia.
Okay, where? Which country?
Russia.
Russia. Oh man, I think you'd fit. Like you'd look definitely Russian.
I've been told that by a few people. I've been told that I look like Islam's long lost cousin.
I don't know. Maybe it's because you talked a lot. You have a lot of knowledge on it too.
But also, I've got very much of a Dutch European background as well.
I see.
So that's where, because we're not too far away from them, because Russia's also got a European looking and then also an Asian looking side. Because British from like, obviously, well, was it from, I think, Mongolia onwards, it's got more of like an Asian looking half
Gotcha.
compared to, let's say, from all of Europe. But yeah.
I
I don't
think
know, I'm learning the language.
yeah, could be a decent move. My dad was thinking about Russia too at one point.
Is it just because the culture and the people, or what was his reasoning behind it?
I think it's because the the he really liked the way they kind of I think it was one of the big cities. What was it in Moscow? They
St.
had like
Petersburg?
I'm not sure. I don't know. Did he ever? I don't think he ever visited Russia, but he moved. He visited Turkey, and he found that
Oh,
Russia had like really similar vibes to Turkey. That's why he considered.
I'm honestly not surprised from what I've heard because I've heard Turkey is like one of the nicest cities to move to. And it's like the people are all very friendly, same thing as Russia. But I guess
Yeah,
we're not going to know until we find out.
yeah, yeah. Turkey. I visited Istanbul. It's like one of the. It's the biggest city in Europe. The most populous, dense city. It has like 40 million in one city. Istanbul is crazy, like because it
That's a
has like
lot.
it has everyone from Russia, from Europe, from not sorry, from Asia, from Europe, and a bit from the Arab countries. So it's like a big mixture of people. So like half of the people are yeah, what's up?
Turkey would be more so like a, as you said, like architecturally, even like physically, and obviously even socially. The architecture would be pretty awesome there because it's like it would have like a European Turkey,
Yeah,
European
exactly.
mix.
It'd be European Ottoman mix, not really Arab, because like Ottomans you used to rule there a lot back then.
Yeah,
So they have like their own kind of style. Before they used to have Christian Orthodox churches and everything like back then. So you can still see that.
which was the majority
You
of
can
Europe
still
back
see
then.
that architecture when you go there, like Constantinople. Now it's before it used to be called that. So that's still there. And then like there's just an amazing history on Istanbul. Yeah, it's a pretty rich city, man. The
The
food
food
there
there
is
is
so
awesome.
good too. The food there is amazing, man. Trust me, like their meat, oh my god, it melts. It melts in your mouth. Also,
I
another
guess we
country
got to.
I would another country I would consider is Spain
Why Spain?
because of like the well, first what kind of stood me is the Moorish era. Like back then, they used to have a really good accord between people from Europe and people from Arabia. So they had like this really nice common ground between like people living there. And I think you still have that today. Like in certain areas, in certain communities, you still have that, which is something I find really, really nice and something that I really like kind of it goes to my heart in Spain.
Yeah,
But then there's also like, yeah, I mean, apart from that, like the Spanish, yeah, the Spanish culture is super, super, you know, super nice and like interesting, spicy, you could say. I would
yeah.
say it's a bit more like a lot of people in America like Latino culture or Latino
Yeah.
culture. I find like Spanish is a bit more kind of refined in a way because they kind of like they're like the OG.
They're not as aggressive as the Latino culture.
Yeah. It's kind of like Europe and America, right? Like we're like more like creative, wild, like free. But like in Europe, it's like structured and standards. It's always like that.
That's also a part of the charm, I reckon. That's a part of the charm to Europe.
Yeah, definitely. It's not something I can like. You keep it that way, man. Like we love to see that. Here they kind of see us as like degenerates in a sense because we kind of like watered down so many things they did, and we kind of did our own kind of way out of it.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I can. We're sort of like
Yeah.
the black sheep of it, though.
What's up?
We're sort of like the black sheep compared to Europe. Yeah, I guess we're kind of not, though.
Yeah. You guys, no, you guys are like just different compared to everyone. I know, I don't know, like, I get the impression that people here see Australia as kind of like the America, like 10 times more in a way, like, kind of like the mindset, like, you guys are just 10 times wilder, in
Oh,
a way.
yeah. You do not want to see a drunk. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We got
But it
some.
also makes it unique. It also makes it really unique, like Australia. Like, you guys have done so many different things too, not gonna lie.
That's Australia for you.
Yeah, for sure.
We got more wild stuff to come, but yeah.
Definitely, man. Gotta keep it busy.
Yeah, we're just gonna end it off here on that
Yeah,
note.
sure. I will end it off episode 20.